What is going on, UFC card lovers? We are back. This one has been a shorter turnaround than usual just because of the pay-per-views. We're a little bit closer between 298 and 299, but we are here back once again. Me, my guy Zach from Box Alarm Trading. For those of you who are new, who have not watched these collaborations before, Zach and I, Zach has his own channel along with Eric at Box Alarm Trading, so be sure to check that one out if you guys haven't and subscribe to his channel. He is going gangbusters. And actually, while I'm talking about it, congratulations, Zach and Eric, if you're watching, on the 500 subs. That is a pretty big deal for us smaller YouTube channels who make content. So yeah, definitely props to you guys, and hopefully you keep marching forward. But big stuff coming for you guys for sure.
You're
But
next,
yeah,
dude. It's coming up quick. You'll be there quick.
hopefully, we'll see. We'll get there. I'll celebrate when the time comes. But yeah, for those of you who are newer to these collab, me and Zach get together once every month leading into the pay-per-view UFC events. We get together, we just chop up, talk everything UFC cards, along with some fun little segments that we come with some new topics each and every single time. Just try and have a bit of fun together, get some entertainment, and talk about UFC cards for us and also for you guys. So I want to start into the introduction for this episode about a post I saw. It was shared on actually an Instagram chat group that Zach and I are both in. I had not seen the post. It was posted on the Straight Out of the Hobby Facebook page, which is a UFC card Facebook page for those of you who do not know. I have tried to join that Facebook page since then, have not yet been accepted. So
They're still checking your credit score in the background.
they're still checking. Maybe I need to align myself a little bit more with Zach over there at Box Alarm Trading. He probably would have been accepted in the first 10 minutes, but I actually I wanted to join that Facebook page, obviously, to not only find out a little bit more about that post, but just get together, connect with the community there. But this is where the post came from. Came from a Bo Nickal. So don't know if we are going to assume that is actually Bo Nickal himself, but the post was regarding 3 Prism cards. He put up a photo. This Bo Nickal, we're assuming at this point, is Bo Nickal himself, because we all know he is quite active in the UFC card community. He does collect UFC cards himself, but he put up a picture. It included 3 Prism cards. It was a ruby wave prism, a blue wave prism, and also a gold disco prism from 2023 Prism. None of them looked to be numbered or anything, but on the back it did have a stamp that had stamped on it personal edition. It will be right up here in the middle of the screen for you guys so you can check out the post for yourself. But this little post got me asking about 1,000 questions just because I have never heard of these personal edition Prism cards. Is this something that Prism Panini do for each and every single athlete? Do they do it upon request? Is this something that Bo Nickal has requested himself from Panini to say, hey, I collect cards. I would like my own personal edition. Can you please send me out some and stamp personal edition on them? Which is a pretty crazy request if that is something that they've gone along with doing. How do they even do that? How do they even stamp personal edition on the back of the card without it being seen on the front side of the card? And also, what is the value of these cards? He did put in the post that they were not for sale, not for trade. He just wanted to sort of show them off to the community, which was cool because obviously he didn't have to do that, but definitely sparked a lot of questions for me. Just regarding of the value, I just will lead this, Zach, before getting your opinion and any thoughts you want to share on this topic. But for the sake of value's sake, I'm wondering if these were to go to auction, if these were to put up for sale, where would the value be at? I can tell you, as I've looked just recently now on Card Ladder, the PSA 10 of the Ruby or Blue Wave Prism for Bo Nickal from 2023 Prism, they do go from anywhere between $85 and $160 in recent sales. And then while the raw copies of those cards sell for around the $25 mark. So just with that in mind, Zach, what are your thoughts on these personal edition Panini cards? Have you ever heard of them? Do you know anything about them? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so I'm pretty much in the same boat as you. When I saw that, I was like, what is this? So I went on the internet. I guess they do this for basketball as well. So it's definitely not like a one-off just for UFC cards. They give them personally to the athlete, and you know, there's still a lot of unanswered questions. I honestly couldn't find that much information on it online, but whether it's per request, whether it's, you know, I don't know if there's no way they do this for everyone, or else we would see more, right? Because there's a lot of UFC fighters in particular that will show them signing and whatnot, and I feel like, you know, Max Griffin is also somewhat of a collector. Matt Schnell's a collector. I feel like they would have shown one of those cards before if that were a thing, but it's definitely legit. I mean, they do it in other sports. As far as value goes, man, honestly, I don't know if I would value that much more than a normal card. And you mentioned grading. I have no idea how that would affect the grading. Like, are the graders going to think that that's normal? Is that considered, you know, damage to the card? A lot of questions, not many answers from me.
Yeah. No, it's as I said, it's if anyone knows any more, obviously feel free to make us aware in the comments, because it is something that I'm just super curious by. If Bo Nickal, Bo, if you're out there and you're watching this right now, just let us know, buddy. Just write down in the comments below. Send us both an autographed personal edition
Maybe
card.
let's shoot him a DM and see if he responds. He
Yeah,
might.
that's no, we have to get one of the bigger boys to do it. Maybe Matt or
Yeah,
Joe.
right.
Matt or Joe's.
We'll get all four of
Connect
us
us.
he'll answer somebody.
Yeah. We'll just spam him.
Hmm.
We'll just spam his inbox. But yeah, no, thought that was a relatively interesting topic to bring up to start the episode with. But now to start off with the regular segments, we are going to be going into the very, 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 very popular. When I say popular, I mean it is like as once again, my mailbox and inbox
Hmm.
on Instagram is just flooded with these like messages of
Dude,
people just wanting to hear about what
stupid numbers.
I mean, I got to get a manager, I'm telling you, because the people wanting to know what my pay-per-view buyer is for this
Hmm.
upcoming UFC event is crazy. But we do have a segment. It is called Pay-per-view Buys. What we do here, each and every single episode, we look forward into the event itself. We pick a fighter who we either PC or we maybe believe is going to do well at this event. And we look to buy a card. The budget is $30. We look to buy a card within that budget. And then we either opt to keep it for the PC or we look to put it up on eBay and see if we can make a quick dollar or two. Normally it's $2 max that we make, but it's all fun for the content's sake. So Zach, leading into UFC 299, we have to talk back about UFC 298. I myself bought a 2021 blue prism for Paulo Costa. Paulo Costa had a great fight. I still don't think that he lost any fans in that fight at all, even though he did
Yep.
lose a fight. That was just a PC buy for myself, so I wasn't looking to put that one on eBay to sell. So I will happily keep that card moving in the front in the future. But how did you go with yours, Zach? Did you buy for the PC or what did you do for 298?
Yeah, I had this. I bought this Jeff Neal first auto years ago, and not really a card that I want to keep long term. You know, I'm kind of trying to thin the herd on some of the older cards that I bought, or just cards that I don't want to PC. So I was trying to sell that. I had a couple watchers. We all know, you know, Jeff Neal lost a decision. It was honestly kind of a meh fight, in my opinion. I mean, Gary was kind of just not running away, but he was controlling the distance heavily in the last round. Not too much action, not too much excitement, really. So I get that nobody wanted to buy that after that fight. I was kind of hoping to cash in on maybe a big finish or just an entertaining fight, you know, but didn't really get either of those from Jeff Neal in the first auto, so no sale on that. So I still got it.
Still got it. Hopefully
Hmm.
he does something one day, but I probably would I wouldn't hold your breath on that one, mate,
Yeah,
just to give you a little
it's
tip.
still up there, dude.
It's
It'll
still
be
up
up
there.
there.
Someone, if they want to buy it, if they want to buy a card that is featured in 2 episodes now of the Box Alarm UFC cards
So
Auto,
famous, man.
maybe Zach can sign it as well. It could be a dual
Personal
auto.
edition, dude.
Dual auto. All right, but UFC 299, and I will go first. The card that I bought for this, I was a little bit too hesitant. I was a little bit too not hesitant. I was a little too quick on the pedal to say that I was going to buy an O'Malley card, because I sat back after that episode and thought, you know what? Do I want to buy an O'Malley card that is going to be so predictable? Everyone's going to know I'm going to buy an O'Malley card. So I want to shake this thing up. And then I thought, who can I buy a card of? What would be a good idea to buy a card of for someone fighting on UFC 299? Keeping in mind, I will be at that event live, sitting in the absolute bleachers, probably trying to watch the fights with binoculars, because that's how far back my seat is. But it doesn't matter. I want to add to the element. I want to add to the experience. So I decided to buy my first card and add to a PC. This is a PC card. This is not for a flip. This is a straight PC ad to commemorate the experience of watching my first ever live fight of Kyler Phillips. He will be coming up against Pedro Munez in what is a pretty exciting bantamweight fight, in my opinion. It is on the undercard prelims, but I thought it would be really cool to pick up a Kyler Phillips first auto from 2023 Select. It is the red. It's numbered to 99. It was cheap. It was within the budget. And I just thought, I know that Kyler Phillips actually is a long-term training partner of Sugar Sean O'Malley, training out of the MMA lab in Phoenix, Arizona. So that has that little tie to it as well. And I just thought it would be a really cool way to add a card to my PC. First auto for a guy who I'm going to be watching for the first time. So super excited to add that card to the PC. That's what I'm doing for UFC 299. Zach, how did you go?
Yeah, man, that is very surprising. I was completely convinced you were going to get some type of O'Malley. But honestly, with the budget we have, that probably would have been tough to find something that was nice for that cheap with O'Malley.
Yeah, probably would
I
have.
went ahead and went with the 2018 Topps Chrome Curtis Blades. It's a Blue Wave first auto. This is similar to the Neil, kind of cheating, but I already had this card, and I think now is the perfect time to go ahead and list it. He's fighting Jalton Almeida, who has a ton of hype right now. He honestly didn't look. I wasn't very impressed with him versus Derek Lewis. A ton of inactivity, kind of just lay and pray in that performance. A much more intriguing matchup with Blades. I kind of think Blades might be able to pull an upset here and maybe even get a finish standing up, because I mean, people kind of think of Blades as just a wrestler, but he does have good hands, and he's landed some big bombs on some good boxers. Like he stunned Pavlovich really bad in that fight, and Pavlovich was able to come back and starched him. But like I think he has the ability to finish Almeida. I think I got this originally about 2.5, 3 years ago for like 50, 55. I'm gonna list it and hopefully get maybe 75 to 100 if he can win. I don't think that's an unreasonable price if he does something crazy. So that's kind of where I'm at with that one.
Yeah, no, I like that one. Just for a little bit of peel back the curtain, do you want to, you just obviously mentioned what you're going to be looking to roughly list it for around, but maybe just help people out who maybe want to do a similar sort of thing. What are your thinkings when you are, because this will be coming out obviously just before the event itself. So we are a little bit like we're speaking in the future now, but you want to let the people know what you're thinking when you're thinking of listing a card of a fighter who is coming up on a fight week.
Yeah, I mean, as far as price point goes, I look at what I bought in at, and then I kind of speculate on when I bought it, what was the hype around him then, it was basically like none. And then I think maybe if he wins, where the hype level will go. I don't think it's going to be anything crazy, but since this is a first auto, this is a rookie auto of 75. It's a really clean card. It's on card auto, and the opponent that he's facing does have a ton of hype around him. So I'm thinking maybe double the price of what I paid for just because of all of those factors. So I'll probably list it at double the price and then hope that I can get, 80% of what I'm listing it at as an offer and then take a small profit from there. But that's kind of the factors that I'm thinking about whenever I'm listing stuff.
Yeah, and will you be looking to list it exactly on like Monday of fight week, or maybe the weekend before, or when will your timing sort of be? Will you look to put the listing up itself?
I usually put it up hopefully 2 weeks before. That's kind of the ideal time, I think, for me, just because if I try and time it perfectly, I usually either miss the window, it's too early, or it's too late, or too late, not too early. So I'll usually try and be a little early on that. and then just have it up. Get a couple of watchers early on, because you know how people are. They're looking at the roster, looking at the fight schedules, and then they might be like, "Oh yeah, Blades is fighting," and they might be thinking the same thing that I am, like, "Oh, if he wins, I might want to invest in him," and then might get some early watchers from that.
All good tips there that I was, yeah, glad to get your answer on that one. All right. Now we have the next hot topic, the next hot segment of our collabs. I mean, we're just coming back to back with just absolute heaters of topics. I mean, people are just they just can't wait. They just can't wait. They can't wait. Yeah, they're out of their seat for this one. It is agree or disagree. Now, what we tend to do is the person hosting the episode for the month, they will be the one coming to the table with the topic of agree or disagree. So that is me this time around. And I want to put it out like this. After UFC 298, Ilia Topuria, will he forever be known as the best rookie from 2022 products, given the way that he finished Alexander Volkanovski in the second round, given the way that the press conferences, given the way that the interviews went, given the way that his social media blew up afterwards, will Topuria be always known from this moment? Regardless of what happens, will Topuria always be the best rookie from 2022 product? Now, before you give your answer on this one, Zach, because you're going to go first, I just want to put out there, just for a little bit of reference for people, who are the other big rookies from 2022? Because we probably all forgot, because there was 2023 after that. And I know what some of us hobby brains are like. We always forget about the 6 months, 12 months before. But some names that came from 2022 Prism, the same class as Ilia Topuria, we have, starting off with Paddy Pimblett. We also have Shavkat Rakhimov. We also have Ian Gary, who is another undefeated fighter, along with, as I should say, Shavkat is also undefeated. We also have another undefeated prospect, Umar Nurmagomedov, who we have not seen for a little bit, but he is making his return later this month, I believe, or maybe early March.
Yeah, it's coming up soon. I'm excited for that.
We also have your guy, Arman Tsarukian. And then we also have names like Sean Strickland as well. I wanted to chuck in there. So there's 6 more names.
Oh yeah, I forgot about Strickland in there.
There's 6 more names I want to chuck into the list of potential who could, in maybe as we fast forward the hobby 5-10 years, we look back who was the biggest and best rookie from 2022 class. There are some names to chuck in there with the Topuria. Zach, what do you think about that?
I'm glad you mentioned Strickland, because I kind of wrote down a list and I didn't even think about him. I think Topuria will be a longer remembered name than Strickland based on the matchups in the division and the type of skill set that he has. Right now, I completely agree with the initial statement that Topuria is the best rookie from 2022. He's the only champion currently that is not an interim. We have Aspinall, who is as well from 2022.
Sorry. Yeah, as you said,
interim champ.
Aspinall, I'm really sorry. Sorry, Tom. I know you're watching.
Sorry,
mate.
Tom. He's a huge fan. Guys. He watches every week.
Your name should have been on that list. I'm like, he's so gonna unsubscribe for me right now. I'll have to I'll have to call him later after this. But
yeah,
Tom Aspinall,
have to send a package to apologize.
Put Tom Aspinall's name on front of all those people.
But I mean, honestly, I was looking back, I was like, dude, this is a really stacked rookie class. I mean, we've got Ilia, who's the true champ. We've got Aspinall, interim champ. I didn't even think of Strickland. He was the champ. We've got Shavkat, who's ranked 3rd in that division right now. We've got Umar, who's 13th ranked. He should be top 5. It's insane that he's fighting an unranked guy, and that could be because he's coming off of injury, but I think that's crazy. We've got Arman, who's fighting, who's 4th ranked. If he beats Beneil decisively, a title shot is definitely in that.
He's fighting Oliveira.
Is the Arman Beneil off?
No, hasn't he been scheduled to fight Oliveira this whole time?
Oh, dude, we gotta look it up.
Quick, someone.
Pause the action. Quick,
fry us in the comments. Yeah.
Regardless, Oliveira honestly is better because there's more hype attached to that name. But whoever he beats, he's 4th ranked, is going to be potentially a title shot afterwards. So a lot of these guys have a lot of hype behind them. They're in a great spot in their career. I think long term, Topuria may have the best shot at being, one of the best ever in that division, which is a huge criteria when it comes to long term collecting. There's really not that much depth in that 145 division. When you look at a guy, even as talented as Shavkat is, there's a ton of talent in that division. The top 5, top 8 is really like, you could make an argument for a lot of those guys. I don't think that's necessarily the case with Topuria. I think Holloway is going to give him the most problems because of that length. We saw him get dropped by Jai Herbert, and the length was kind of an issue early on, and then he just absolutely starched him, right? But I think that could maybe potentially give him problems. But besides that, I don't think Mavzar is going to do anything. I think Topuria is so well-rounded, he can cancel out a lot of that wrestling and then use his beautiful boxing. Talk about best boxers in the UFC. His head movement, I think defensively, he is the best boxer in the UFC. And yeah, this was a fun one to look back on. And honestly, this made me want to look back on 2021 as well and kind of just run through the same thing. So great topic this week.
Yep. No, I agree with you in the fact that, as you said, there's a lot of factors that go into this. The biggest factors that I thought that Topuria had going for him was that he's undefeated. I think that's a big one. Obviously, if he can stay undefeated as champion, that's the next thing, because obviously, the guy who's wearing the crown, everybody's coming for them. So it's tough to keep that. Also, the way just the whole fight week went down, from the press conferences to the interviews, the way that he was on his Instagram like a month before had listed himself as
Yeah.
the UFC featherweight
Yeah, he's got a
champion
movie coming out or something too. So
is
he's
absolutely
big time.
crazy. He basically, he became a very polarizing fighter in the UFC very, very quickly. And then to top it off with the performance and who he did it against, obviously,
Yeah, man.
people are going to be talking for the ages now about Volkanovski taking that Islam fight on short notice, the way that fight went, how that could have carried into the result of this fight. I mean, it's going to be that argument that people are always going to have. How much of a difference it makes, we're never going to know. All we know is Topuria knocked him out clean in the second round with his boxing, which he's known for. And Volkanovski, who was and probably still will be considered the greatest featherweight to date. And I hates me saying that as a Holloway fan, but the fact that he beat Holloway 3 times sort of takes that out of consideration. The way that he, as I said, add all those things together, and it really puts him at the top of the list, that it's going to be hard to beat him. But as you said, the depth of that division probably is one of the biggest concerns as Former's legacy. And if we're talking 10 years' time, when people are looking back to 2022 rookies, that's where the argument's always going to be. Obviously, it's hard to make sure if it's ever going to be definitive. And if I was to say there's 2 fighters who probably would be in consideration to maybe take over the 2022 class, would be either Shavkat or Aspinall. Sorry, Tom, but I do mean that, Tom. I do. I swear to God. Obviously, as I said, heavyweight's a division with such a long legacy that if Tom Aspinall can put together performances for the next few years, because he still is very young, he could steal the spotlight from the 2022 rookie class. But depending on where Topuria goes from here, I think, very, very achievable for him to be the best rookie of 2022. So, but I agree with your points. There's a lot of factors that need to be considered. And I would admit that there is 2 other fighters who at this point I would have potentially could steal the light from him in 10 years' time, if you look back on their careers. But it was very cool, as you said. I'd forgotten myself how many just fantastic rookies there were from 2022. So it's going to be fun to see what happens when we look back next year in 2025, looking back on 2023 rookies. We could probably have the same conversation. So that's the fun thing about the sport.
Yeah, this is definitely one that I'd like to revisit maybe every year we can come back, maybe a December episode or a January episode, come back and kind of look at the rookie class from the year or a couple years before and just kind of have this conversation, because it was a great topic to look into.
Yeah, no, that's a great idea, actually. We'll definitely have to bookmark that one in for sure. All right, now it's time for the last segment of this episode. And I mean, as I just talked about before, the segments are just going rolling on. Like, the people just keep wanting more. Yeah. We have the very, very speculative trash hold, sell. And once again, the person who is hosting the episode for that month will be the one bringing the 3 cards to the table. Once again, not literally, figuratively, because that's what we just do here. We just talk about stuff, not literally. But we have, as I introduce the cards, I just want to give a little brief description after why I have chosen these particular cards. But we have to start off with the 2021 Immaculate Marks of Greatness auto, number 99, on-card auto for Kamaru Usman. That is number 1. Number 2 is the 2021 Immaculate Marks of Greatness on-card auto for the man who we talked about in the previous segment, Alexander Volkanovski. And then coming in the third option, the third card is the 2020 Topps Striking Signatures Orange, number 50, Israel Adesanya. That is a sticker autograph. Now, before I get your answer on these, Zach, the reason why I picked these cards, from what I could find, the marks of greatness for both Kamaru Usman and Alexander Volkanovski are their first on-card autographs. And then, of course, for those of you who do know, Israel Adesanya's first autograph is in 2020 Topps products. He does have an on-card auto, but I thought that would have made it a little bit too easy of a choice for both you and I, as we have talked about this before, that we both like that card. We both want to have a copy of that card. So I changed it to the Striking Signatures, which gets a lot of shit, to be honest. So I thought and I wanted to give it a relatively lower serial number without going too low. So that's why I went the orange out of 50. And orange is a bit of a cool color that pops as well on that card. And it is a sticker auto, as I said, which is a little bit less desirable than what an on-card auto would be for everyone and every collector. So that's why I went with that option for Izzy, to make it a little bit tougher, a little bit more fairer. And the reason why I chose those 3 fighters is because all of those 3 guys have recently, over the last 18 months or so, they were 18 months ago, they were on top of the world. They were on top of the UFC pound for pound list. They were on top of their weight divisions. And not only just for a week or two, they had been there for a long time. All 3 guys were long-standing champions, were popular champions, and they are all now not champions. They've all recently lost their titles one way or another. We're all sort of around the similar age group too, actually, I do believe, all in their 30s. So they're all in the sort of similar spot in their career. So that's why I thought made these 3 cards and these 3 options super interesting, because all these 3 fighters, as I said, are in pretty similar, very similar cases in their career. Zach, which one are you going to trash? Which one are you going to hold? And which one are you going to sell?
All right, Damien. I love the choices this week. These are all 3 huge names, 3 potentially future Hall of Famers, 3 potentially at one time we were talking about Usman, was creeping up on GSP as one of the best of all time at 170. So these are a really cool group of names. These are the guys that you want in your PC. These are guys that you want to hold on to long term. As far as the looks of the cards, I really liked the marks of greatness autos. Those were a really fun one to choose. And like you mentioned, the striking signatures don't get much love, but I have a Leon Edwards a purple of this, and I actually like how it looks in person. I think it's a pretty decent design. So first, we're gonna trash who I think is the weakest as far as legacy goes of these 3. I'm gonna trash Usman. And the reason I'm going to trash Usman is, one, because of his title reign, the opponents that he faced, of the championship title fights that he had with Woodley, Colby, Burns, Masvidal. Of those guys, I think really Woodley is only a guy that we would really look at as like a transcendent fighter, like a really good matchup. Also, as far as making this a trash card, I think Usman has kind of the toughest road back to the top. I think guys like Volkanovski, if he maybe beats Holloway again, I think he could beat Yair, he could beat Ortega, he could beat Emmett. I think Topuria just has the style to kind of really best him. So I could see a future where Volk kind of stays at the top, in that championship picture for a little while. Same with Izzy. I think Izzy can get right back at it at 185. And I also think maybe if he goes up to 205, you have a really exciting moment with him fighting Potan. So that's the reason I'm going to trash Usman. Now this one was really tough for me. The 2 and 3, the sell and the hold. I was kind of thinking with this one long term, who would I want to have long term, and who do I think is going to kind of come back from this setback of losing the belt? So I went ahead and I sold on Volk. I think he doesn't really have the option to move up. We already saw what happened with Islam. Also, I don't know if he ever can beat Topuria, man. Topuria has a really good style to best Volk. He's still arguably the best featherweight of all time. He's definitely in that conversation. Aldo's up there. Some people loved Holloway's run, but with 3 wins over Holloway, he beat Aldo, Ortega, Zombie, Yair, like close decision with Islam. It's a guy that I would love to have both of these cards, but I gotta sell on Volk. And the hold, it's kind of a homer pick. I really like Izzy. He's one of the guys I like to PC, and I really have enjoyed watching his run over the last 4 years or so. And I think he's kind of the biggest superstar of these 3, as well as stylistically, he's the guy that I've enjoyed watching most fight. He's the biggest star. I think his legacy's the best. It is a sticker auto, so I don't love that, but I do like this design. I also like that they give it to you in like a one touch, which is kind of fun for me. So I'm going to go ahead and hold the Striking Signatures Orange Izzy. What
Yeah.
you got, man? What's your play?
Yeah, no, yeah. Not surprised to hear all your answers. Very, very well thought out, and it makes a lot of sense, everything you said. So for those long-standing viewers of ours who remember the first ever trash hold sell that we had, as I
There's a
said,
train wreck.
it was a train wreck, and I feel like we are all stations to train wreck city right now, because I'm
Oh, yeah,
Australian.
I like it.
My trash as an Australian, I'm probably just going to get unsubscribed by all my Australian,
Are you
subscribers
going to
right
do
now.
it?
I'm
Are you
doing it.
doing this?
I'm doing it. I am trashing the Volkanovski.
Wow. That's a
Now,
surprise.
great fighter. Absolutely. I wish he had done. He did a sports betting, an Australian sports betting ad that I'm sure made it over to the States. I wish he had done that 3 years ago, because it would have changed
Yeah.
my opinion on him. I never liked Volkanovski. I've always been a Holloway fan for that pure reason. He beat the tar out of Holloway in the very third fight. The first 2 fights, the first fight was very, very close. Second fight was even closer as well. Both times I thought it was a bit unfair to Holloway, but the third fight just made me very, very sad, because he beat the absolute shit out of Holloway in that third fight, which was sad to watch for any Holloway supporter. But even since then, even though he's Australian, he's obviously a great guy. He's obviously like
Mhm.
he is the best featherweight ever to do it. I said it myself. He just didn't resonate with me. I'm sorry, but he didn't. So it made this a little bit easier for me for all the reasons that you said with Usman. I agree. Legacy wise, I do believe Volkanovski has had a better legacy to this point than what Usman does. But I do like what I did like about all these are 3 vertical autographs, which I spoke about. I prefer the
Yep.
vertical cards. So it wasn't anything to do with design, because I, like you, I do think the striking signatures don't look that bad. They're a sticker autograph. People hate on them because they were like a sticker auto dump from Topps before they lost the license to Panini.
I think that's what it is. Less of the design, but more like the situation around it.
But nonetheless, it's still a cool card. It's still a sticker autograph. So opposed to keeping the now, this is where, as I said, it was not super tough for me to choose between the hold and the sell. I do think that Usman looked really good, surprisingly, on 10 days' notice against Hazmat. So I do think that Usman could have somewhat of a career moving forward at 185. I think his days are done at 170. I don't really want to see Usman against all the killers that are much younger than him coming up in that division. We all know how stacked 170 is. I don't want to see Usman there again. I want to see Usman fight at 185. I want to see Usman fight Hamzat again in a 5-round fight. And I think that could be a cool card to have of, come on. And it's as you said, they are beautiful looking cards and marks of greatness. They got gold accents on card auto. I think that's a very desirable. If I had PC'd any fighter who had a marks of greatness auto, I would be getting that from 2021, because they're a beautiful card. So I think there is excitement. I still think there's buzz around what Kamaru Usman can do moving forward at 185. So I would be looking to sell that card with maybe a Hazmat with a comes up rematch or something. And then, like you, for all the reasons you said, no surprise, we're both, even though it is a sticker auto, I am going to be keeping the Israel Adesanya because you nailed it on the head. Every point that you made was exactly my thoughts as well. And it would be cool just to have a first auto for Israel Adesanya. So
Nice, man. Not much pushback. I completely understand why you'd want Usman over Volk. Maybe as far as the reasoning that you want that, and correct me if I'm wrong, is more of just the buzz that Usman can make at 185. He has more exciting matchups to go to than Volk. Is that kind of what you're thinking?
Yeah, I don't know how far. I know Volk did really well against Islam the first time, but once again, 155. Like you think of all the top
Yeah.
5 guys at 155. I don't know if I like Volkan, especially coming off 2 brutal KOs back to back now.
Yeah.
I don't like Volkanovski at 155 moving forward. Obviously, we could be proven wrong, and kudos to him if he can. But yeah, moving forward, as I said, between those 2 fighters, I think Usman has the more potential moving up a weight class, which I think was the other reason why I picked these, because all these guys, long-standing champions, but they all have a potential career moving upwards. So
Nice. I like it. Yeah, good list this week.
that was a fun one. All right, Zac, before we finish this one out, and is there anything that you want to finish off the episode with? Just before you get to anything you want to finish the episode with, I just want to remind you guys and girls again, let us know in the comments down below right now. If you've watched this long, then you must like something about either Zac or myself. Probably, like, I get it, probably here for Zac, but let us know in the comments below if you have any questions, because we're going to be doing this moving forward. We're going to be here making content anyway. If you want to have a question, something regarding UFC cards, just write it down in the comments below right now, and we can answer it for you on the next collab, which will be on this guy's channel. So he's already got, he's on his way to 1,000 subscribers. So if you haven't
We both are, man. We're doing it.
If you haven't subscribed to his channel, you are missing out. So you better get there, because he's going to remember who was there before 1,000 subscribers, aren't you, Zach? You're going to remember who the true day ones were. So get over there, subscribe to his channel, and you can have your very question answered by one of us 2 idiots next time around. But that was what all I wanted to say. Zach, you got anything before we sign off?
Not much to add. Just that we finally got word on the 2024 Topps Chrome. It got pushed back for manufacturing issues. Nobody knows what that means. We do have a date.
We all know what it is.
The
I
hater
still stand by
they
it.
scrapped the designs.
That video's had like 1,000 views. I swear to God,
Dude,
I swear to
killed
God,
it, man.
Michael Rubin saw that one for sure.
Yeah, your last couple of videos have been killing it. Congrats on that, and you'll be at 500 in no time. But March 27th or 28th is when the Topps Chrome 2024 release will be happening. So just some updated news for anybody that hasn't seen that yet. I'm sure you guys already know, but just thought I'd throw it out there.
No, thanks for that one. Good addition to finish off the show. Once again, Zac, thanks, mate. This was obviously a lot of fun. Can't wait to do it again next time on your channel. Enjoy the fights.
I'm already thinking. I'm thinking of cool questions for us, man. That's what I love about this.
And
you enjoy the fights live.
I will. Righto. Thanks, mate.
All right. See y'all.